Real-time strategy is back, and Stormgate might be the game that drags an entire generation of gamers back to the genre. This is not some indie experiment. The people who built StarCraft 2 are behind this one, and they are not playing around. Stormgate puts you in a future Earth where two massive factions are tearing each other apart in real time. You are building bases, managing resources, commanding units, and making split-second decisions that can flip the entire match in seconds. The classic RTS DNA is all there, but it is built with modern speed and modern polish. Matches feel tight. The micromanagement is real. One wrong move and your whole army is gone. What makes this one different is the co-op PvE mode alongside the competitive multiplayer. You can team up with a friend against AI-controlled enemy waves that get smarter and more brutal as the game goes on. The free-to-play model has people nervous, but the core gameplay loop from early access is already sharp enough to compete with the legends of the genre. The developers are dropping major updates constantly, each one adding new units, new factions, and new mechanics. And with a full campaign still on the way, Stormgate is far from finished showing you what it can do. But here's the thing, one of the upcoming factions has abilities so broken in testing that the developers have not shown them publicly yet. Nobody knows what they do, and when that faction drops into ranked play, the entire meta is going to collapse overnight.
Forget everything you know about slow, boring base builders. Tempest Rising plays like someone took Command & Conquer, turned the aggression dial to maximum and said, yeah, that is still not enough, push it harder. The year is 1997 in an alternate timeline where World War III never ended. Two military superpowers are fighting over a mysterious resource called Tempest, and every single mission wants you dead. The RTS mechanics here are old school in the best possible way. You build, you expand, you tech up, and then you crash into your enemy with everything you have. There is no slow walking here. Units move with purpose. Battles are loud, fast, and absolutely punishing if you are not paying attention. The campaign puts you in the commander's seat for both factions, and both stories hit differently. You are not just clicking through missions. You are being told a war story, mission by mission, with fully voiced cutscenes that feel like they belong in a blockbuster movie from the 90s. That era is the whole vibe, and it lands perfectly. The tech tree gives you so many options that two players can run completely different strategies and both be correct. Rushing works, turtling works, air superiority works, economic booming works. This game rewards every playstyle. But just when you think you understand both factions completely, a third faction is confirmed for post-launch content, and based on the silhouette teased in the roadmap trailer, it plays by rules that neither of the first two factions follow at all.
Most strategy games give you a planet. Sanctuary, Shattered Sun, gives you an entire solar system and says, figure it out. This is a grand-scale RTS where your decisions are not just about the next battle, they are about the next century. You are managing civilizations, expanding across multiple planets, building fleets, and trying to hold everything together while other factions are doing the exact same thing with completely different philosophies. The scale is enormous, the map is enormous, and the number of moving pieces at any given moment will test your brain in ways most strategy games never attempt. What makes Sanctuary special is how the resource system works. Every planet has a different resource profile. You cannot just copy your base layout from match to match. You have to adapt your entire economy to wherever you are expanding. And if your supply lines get cut by an enemy fleet, your whole operation on the front line starts to crumble in real time. It is terrifying and completely addictive. The combat, when it finally hits, is spectacular. Fleet battles in space play out with real tactical depth. Ship positioning matters, range matters, flanking works, running away works if you time it right. The developers recently confirmed that planetary bombardment, where you can literally glass a colony from orbit, is in the game and fully functional. The question is, what happens to the resources on that planet when you do it? Because the answer changes every strategy conversation completely.
Imagine if a space RTS and a naval warfare simulator had a child, and that child was obsessed with making every single battle feel like a genuine military operation. That is Falling Frontier. This game simulates space combat at a level that most RTS games never attempt. Ships have individual system damage. You can target specific components.
You can knock out enemy engines and leave their fleet drifting. You can destroy weapons and force them to retreat. You are not just commanding units, you are commanding warships with anatomy, and knowing where to hit them is half the battle. The strategic layer is just as deep. You are managing supply chains across a star system, making sure your fleets are fueled and armed, and deciding which territories are worth fighting over and which ones you let go. Overextending is death. Resource starvation is death. Getting into a fight with an enemy who outguns you before you are ready is instant death. The visual presentation of combat in this game is something else entirely. Explosions ripple through ship hulls. Debris floats in formation after a kill. The sound design makes every impact feel like real mass and real consequence. But there is a mechanic the developers have been quietly hinting at, where damaged ships can be captured mid-battle and reverse engineered. If that system is as deep as they are suggesting, the entire meta of fleet composition becomes something completely unpredictable.
Millennia launched and got people talking, but what is coming next is the real reason strategy fans need to be watching this one closely. The base game is already a serious alternative to Civilization, with a twist that changes everything. Instead of a fixed historical timeline, the ages you progress through are determined by how the game is actually playing out. Go to war too much and you might enter an age of plague. Advance science too fast and you might trigger a technological singularity before you're ready. The timeline bends around your choices and that makes every single playthrough feel like a different game. The strategic depth here is not about micromanaging units, it is about reading momentum. You have to feel when an age is ending, position your civilization for the next one, and not get caught flat-footed when the world shifts around you. Players who are too reactive lose. Players who think 2 ages ahead dominate. The nation powers system means no two civilizations play the same. Stacking the right powers at the right time can create combinations that feel almost broken in a satisfying way that rewards thinking over clicking. The upcoming expansion content has been hinted to include crisis ages that are entirely negative, periods of collapse, invasion, and catastrophe that every player on the map has to survive together or not at all. A fully cooperative age mechanic in a competitive game is either going to be brilliant or break everything. There is no middle ground on that design decision. Homeworld 3 is already out, and the conversation around it is still not finished because what the developers are building on top of the launch version is turning into something that the original fanbase never expected. The core RTS experience is everything Homeworld has always been. Three-dimensional space combat where positioning in all directions matters, fleets that carry between missions, loss that is permanent and felt. The emotional weight of moving through deep space with a fleet you have been protecting for hours is something no other strategy game replicates. The War Games mode introduced roguelite elements that gave Homeworld 3 a second life after launch. You pick a starting build, adapt your fleet through randomized modifiers, and try to survive escalating enemy waves with whatever you have pieced together. No two runs feel identical. The modding tools that are now in players' hands have already produced custom campaigns, new unit types, and entirely new factions that the original game never shipped with. The community is building an entirely new homeworld inside Homeworld 3, and some of those mods are genuinely better than what shipped in the box. But the official roadmap has one entry near the end that just says Legacy Mission. No date, no details, no screenshots. For a franchise with the history Homeworld carries, those two words mean something enormous, and nobody knows if it connects to where the original trilogy ended or somewhere else entirely.
Most people have never heard of Zero-K. That is a crime, because this is one of the most mechanically pure real-time strategy experiences available on PC, and it is free, and the upcoming major update is about to make that conversation impossible to ignore. Zero-K is built on physics, actual physics. Units are affected by terrain, slope, gravity, and momentum. You can use the terrain editor mid-match to reshape the battlefield. You can build ramps, dig trenches, and redirect rivers to flood enemy positions. No other RTS gives you this level of environmental manipulation, and once you understand how deep it goes, every other strategy game starts to feel like it is missing something fundamental. The unit roster is massive, and every single unit has a defined role with no overlap. The strategic decisions you make during unit production carry real consequences through the entire match. There is no generic army in 0K, there is only your army, shaped by your choices, your read of the opponent, and your plan. The new update coming to 0K is reworking the commander system from the ground up. Commanders are the most important unit in your army. They construct, they fight, and if they die, you are in serious trouble. The rework is adding full customization trees to commanders, letting you specialize them into builders, frontline fighters, or support units. And the competitive implications of that change are already being debated by the top players before it has even shipped. Nobody saw Dustfront coming. It appeared on Steam with almost no marketing, dropped a demo that played like a top 10 strategy game, and immediately started collecting wish lists from every serious RTS player who touched it. The setting is a brutal desert world at permanent war. Two factions are fighting over territory, water, and survival, and neither of them is particularly heroic. The moral ambiguity of the writing bleeds into the strategy layer in a way that is genuinely clever. The decisions you make about which settlements to protect and which ones to sacrifice for resources are not just strategic. They affect how your faction behaves later in the campaign, what units are available to you, and how other neutral groups respond to your presence on the map. The real-time combat is fast and unforgiving. Desert terrain creates natural choke points that completely control the flow of battle. If you do not know the map, you will be funneled into a kill zone before you realize what happened. Map knowledge is a genuine skill here, not just a bonus. Supply lines are critical. Armored convoys carrying resources between your bases are legitimate targets, and defending them while simultaneously attacking the enemy is a constant tension that never lets you relax. What the developer just teased in the latest update post is a weather system that affects combat in real time. Sandstorms that blind units, flash floods that cut off routes, a weather event that can flip a winning battle into a desperate retreat in 60 seconds. If that system works as described, Dustfront becomes the most unpredictable RTS on this entire list. Ancient warfare. No magic, no fantasy, no science fiction. Just human beings in the ancient world trying to outsmart and outfight each other with nothing but bronze, stone, and the will to survive. The Fertile Crescent makes that feel like the most intense RTS experience imaginable. This game strips the genre down to its absolute core and then builds something incredibly precise on top of that foundation. Units behave realistically. Formations matter. A small, disciplined force can absolutely destroy a larger, disorganized mob if you position them correctly. There is no auto-win button. There is no overpowered unit that solves every problem. There is only strategy. The resource system is tied to actual historical agricultural and trade mechanics. You are farming, trading, taxing, and building infrastructure before you ever raise an army. The economy is the game. Combat is what happens when economies collide. The single-player campaign covers multiple civilizations across centuries of history, and every campaign arc ends with a battle scenario that has a documented historical outcome, which you can change. Winning a battle that was historically lost carries different rewards and unlocks different paths through the campaign. The developer recently showed 15 seconds of gameplay footage featuring a siege mechanic that has not been explained yet. There are siege engines, there are walls, and something happens to the city inside those walls when the siege succeeds that looks like it permanently changes the strategic map. Nobody knows the full extent of what that system does. Every strategy game on this list is trying to do something impressive. Ara, History Untold, is trying to do something that has never been done in the genre before, and from what has been shown, it might actually be pulling it off. This is a historical strategy game where you are not just building a civilization, you are building a legacy.
Every decision your nation makes gets recorded into an in-game history book that reads like an actual historical account of your playthrough. The events, the wars, the inventions, the disasters, all of it is written in a narrative voice that makes your civilization feel like a real chapter of human history, not just a game session. The competitive layer is built around prestige, not conquest. You can win Ara without destroying anyone. You can dominate through culture, through scientific achievement, through economic supremacy, through culinary influence. Yes, food is a genuine victory path in this game, and it works. The diversity of winning conditions means every single player at the table is playing toward a different goal, and you often do not know what your opponent is actually trying to achieve until it is too late to stop them. The age progression moves civilizations forward through time, but the transitions are not automatic. You have to actively qualify for each new era by meeting requirements that change based on how your civilization has developed. Fall behind and history moves on without you, leaving your nation as a relic in a world that has already advanced past you. The research system connects technologies in webs of influence rather than linear trees. Discovering one technology opens paths you didn't expect and closes paths you were planning to take. Every research decision reshapes your strategic options for the rest of the game. And Ara just confirmed a mechanic that has been theorized but never shown in any gameplay footage, a system where civilizations that fall during the game do not disappear. They leave ruins, cultural artifacts, and lost technologies that surviving civilizations can excavate and incorporate. A dead civilization's greatest invention can be resurrected by whoever finds it first, which means the most dangerous thing in a late-game match of Ara might not be the player in first place. It might be the ruins of the player who was eliminated in the second hour, and whoever just found what they left behind.